All right, I'm going to say it. Prince Harry has officially turned his therapy journey into a multi-part media campaign. At this point, I'm just waiting for the Heal Like a Duke guided journal to drop on Amazon. Let's talk about Harry's new round of mental health revelations, because apparently the root of it all isn't just trauma, it's bad parenting. And at this time, it's not just Charles in the hot seat. We're going full generational trauma here. Queen Elizabeth, Prince Philip, the works. So is Harry finally healing? Let's break it down. Hello everyone, I'm Star Chairs, and in this channel we analyze videos and articles through the lens of PR. Let's get started. All right, so this is the article labeled Prince Harry's striking claim that his mental health struggles were passed on through bad parenting. So easy when you can blame people. He has always been a vocal campaigner on mental health, having grown up under scrutiny of media and the royal family. But Prince Harry has done even more work on the issue since stepping down as a working royal and relocating to California. Just last year, Harry called for the term mental health to be replaced with mental fitness at a conference in New York, where he also said mental health was very, very important subject that affects every single one of us from top to bottom, from the youngest to the oldest. That's true. In 2022, he chided the reluctance of Britons to seek counseling and praised that he called the "I'll get my therapist, call your therapist" mentality he's found since moving to America with Meghan Markle. Indeed, the prince has become remarkably candid about his own mental health struggles in recent years, which he claims has been aided by Meghan, who identified his need to see a therapist as early as 2016. However, while the so-called Peace Summit that took place last week have raised hopes of the rifts between the palace and Sussexes being healed, his discussions have in the past caused further divisions in the family. Speaking on the Armchair Expert podcast in 2021, the prince alleged that many of his issues stem from the pain his own father had experienced due to bad parenting. Discussing Prince Charles, Harry claimed that the way Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip raised their children meant that he is treating me in the way he was treated. By moving his family to America with Meghan, Harry said he was hoping to raise his children differently. First up, Harry's latest claim his mental health issues are a result of the pain his father experienced due to his bad parenting. And listen, I get it. Generational trauma is real. I understand that. But when your emotional wounds come with, I don't know, maybe a Netflix docuseries and a Spotify deal, that's not healing. That's cha-ching distribution, okay? And I say this as someone who has been to therapy, not to write a memoir, not to launch a podcast, not to cry into a ring light, but to figure out how to function better as a human, as a leader, as someone who has people depending on me. I went to therapy to work on myself, not my brand. I didn't need to broadcast every inner wound to strangers online in exchange for validation. I needed tools. I needed clarity. I needed to stop letting my past sabotage my future. Because like Harry, I have people who rely on me. I don't get to spiral publicly while blaming everyone else like he does. I have to show up. I have to grow up. I have to take responsibility even when it's hard. And you and I can all relate to this. We just need to learn to do better and self-reflect on ourselves. And I think that's why this endless cycle of Harry narrating his pain in the press interviews, docuseries, and podcasts just feels performative, because at some point it stops being vulnerable and it begins to feel like he's just using this as marketing. Here's what I believe. We all carry scars from childhood, some deeper than others. But healing isn't about blaming, it's about taking responsibility. At some point, we all face a choice: repeat the cycle or rise above it. One of these choices is easier than the other. Growth starts when we stop pointing fingers and start doing the work. Let's continue. Sometimes you have to make decisions and put your family first and your mental health first, he said. When the late queen was alive, she took much more traditional view of how to look after her mental health. Writing in her royal biography, My Mother and I, Ingrid Seward said, the queen could have been the one who needed to put her mental health first, but instead she did what she always did, compartmentalize things. There was no point in worrying about Harry as he was not going to take notice of anyone except Meghan. Seward claimed the Queen thought Charles had done well raising William and Harry following the breakdown of his marriage to Princess Diana. The Queen felt her son had pulled himself together and done well with both William and Harry since the separation and divorce from their mother, she wrote. The Duchess of Sussex has also been candid about her mental health battles. During a bombshell interview with the U.S. talk show host Oprah Winfrey in 2021, Meghan revealed the stress of royal life made her suicidal when she was 5 months pregnant. Now, let's talk about this quote from Ingrid Seward's book, okay? The Queen could have been the one who needed to put her mental health first, but instead, she did what she always did, compartmentalize things. And you know what? I don't see that as a flaw. I see that as emotional discipline because while it's popular right now to overshare in the name of authenticity, there's something powerful and rare about knowing when to feel and when to lead. In my opinion, the Queen didn't suppress her emotions because she lacked depth. No, she compartmentalized because she understood the weight of her role. She didn't get the luxury of crying on a podcast. Her grief didn't get a trailer drop whatsoever. She had a country to serve, a family to stabilize, and centuries of protocol to uphold. And honestly, that's not dysfunction. That is restraint. Compartmentalizing, when done correctly and right, is not avoidance. It's time management for your emotions. Let's continue reading. She said she couldn't be left alone and told her husband she didn't want to be alive anymore before claiming Buckingham Palace staff ignored her plea for help because she wasn't a paid employee, describing how she considered ending her life, believing it was better for everyone. Meghan said, I knew if I didn't say it that I would do it. I just didn't want to be alive anymore. And that was a very clear, real, and frightening constant thought. I remember how he just cradled me. I said that I needed to go somewhere to get help. I said that I've never felt this way before and I needed to go somewhere. And I was told that I couldn't and that it wouldn't be good for the institution. She said that after confiding in her husband, she was forced to go into Royal Albert Hall for a charity event in January 2019, claiming photos from that night haunted her. Before he met his future wife, he had a previous girlfriend that had encouraged him to see a therapist. Writing in her best-selling book, The Palace Papers, royal biographer Tina Brown claims the Duke of Sussex, then girlfriend Cressida Bonas, encouraged him to visit a mental health professional after she witnessed Harry's explosive temperament. Miss Brown wrote, Cressida began to have serious worries about his mental health. It is not widely known that it was she who first persuaded Harry to see a therapist. A family friend told Miss Brown that Cressida forced the prince to accept that he had problems and see a psychoanalyst. Now, here's the part I wasn't sure if I even wanted to include because this section of the article talks about Meghan saying she didn't want to be alive anymore and how the palace allegedly dismissed her plea for help because she wasn't a paid employee. And listen, I'm not here to question someone's darkest moments. Most of us had those silent whispers during our lowest points. The would it even matter if I were gone thoughts. They're terrifying. They're real. And they don't discriminate, not by fame, not by title, not by follower count. Do I believe that Meghan may have struggled? Sure, absolutely. She's human. But here's where I struggle as a viewer. When someone has a documented track record of exaggerations, half-truths, and yes, outright contradictions, it becomes very difficult to take emotionally charged claims at face value. That's not insensitivity. That's my discernment. We've caught Harry and Meghan in too many PR spun inconsistencies for the public not to ask, are you sharing this to be seen? Or to sell us something? Because here's the thing. Do you think the queen was happy every single day of her life? Absolutely not. I'm sure she had deep moments of pain, grief, despair, and heartbreak. And that is where it starts to feel disingenuous. These two consistently talk about how they hate playing games, but if you ask me, they're the ones who wrote the rules. And they're still playing every interview, every docuseries, and every curated soundbite. So no, I'm not going to unpack Meghan's mental health moment by moment, because if you're serious about healing, you don't keep turning your trauma into a press cycle or money. According to Harry, Meghan noticed his mental health struggles in 2016 and encouraged him to get help. But let's not forget, Tina Brown says it was actually Cressida who dragged him kicking and screaming to a therapist after witnessing, let's just say, less than royal behavior. One moment he's lashing out, the next he's on a podcast saying love healed him. This whole narrative of Meghan swooping in is getting hard, especially when there's already a documented history of other women doing the work before her. Then, of course, we get the infamous quote, I was told it wouldn't be good for the institution. That's Meghan talking about how she wasn't allowed to seek help during her pregnancy. And yes, that's horrifying if it's true. But also, this is the part of the script where the palace becomes the villain again, like clockwork. There's always this reoccurring theme. They didn't let us feel. They didn't let us breathe. They didn't let us process, yada, yada, yada. But healing is not just about airing out who hurt you. It's what you do after. Otherwise, you're not growing. You're just narrating your pain with better lighting and a therapist-approved script and getting money at the end of it. All right, let's continue because I hate this part. Harry then turned to Julia Samuel for support, a therapist who was Princess Diana's friend and worked as an NHS bereavement counselor. But the reason Julia was so helpful to Harry was her connection to MI6, where she advised Secret Service staff, meaning she was capable of being discreet. Ms. Brown claims a person close to Harry said there was a need for someone who could be incredibly discreet and who understood what it's like to have a public version of your life and a private version. It was through therapy that Harry finally unpicked the trauma caused by Diana's death, which happened when he was just 12 years old. He at last understood his own evasion of sorrow and tactics that range from championing hooliganism to sticking my head in the sand, refusing to ever think about my mum, because why would that help, Ms. Brown wrote. Cressida encouraged Harry to seek help after seeing this behavior on several occasions, documented by Miss Brown. This included a pub lunch on New Year's Day in Kiddleton near Oxford when Harry lashed out at an elderly man who asked him for a picture. Miss Brown was told by someone privy to the incident that Harry told the gentleman to get out of my way before he went bright red in his face and stormed off in a huff. Whew. All right, let's talk about this part. The one where Harry lashed out at an elderly man, because that's the second time we've heard something like this. Remember the story of him lashing out at his grandmother? Same thing. Harry berating someone older, someone likely harmless, someone who simply wanted a moment. And this is where I almost lost it, because yes, I got very upset. I believe in protecting those who cannot protect themselves: animals, children, and the elderly. And that's not just a principle I talk about. I walk the walk. That's my real life. I care for my elderly mother, if you didn't know, and the experience has taught me something Harry clearly hasn't learned. Our elders are not burdens. They're blessings. And yet, In this story, we have a grown man, literally a duke, throwing tantrums at an old man like some emotionally stunted teenager. It's disgusting. The world already treats elderly people like they're invisible. Young people walk past them, they don't listen, they don't ask how they're doing. But I've learned that something as small as a kind word, a smile, or a simple hello can light up their day. They remember that they are cherished. They do belong. They are needed. Because when you're older, and you're gonna be older, being noticed means more than anyone realizes. So when I hear Harry lashing out like this again, I don't see trauma. I see a man who cannot control his emotions, who hasn't done the real work. And let me be clear, that kind of man, no matter how rich he is, what title he has, he is not a fox. That is a man-child. And Meghan, you can keep him. Thank you very much. Because if you cannot show basic kindness to someone who's lived long enough to have earned it, then maybe you're not the one who should be lecturing the world about mental fitness. Here's the bottom line. Therapy is valid. Yes. Healing is powerful. Absolutely. But you don't get to blame everyone and call it growth. You don't get to heal by dragging everyone through your past. You heal when you step into your future without needing everyone to look back with you. And that's where Harry loses me. So what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.